how did this start to come to the idea of like, I could make something here. I could
Mhm.
take what's happening to me and do something with it to be able to give back or to be able to help others. How did that
Yeah.
start to pop into your head?
Yeah. Well, so the story fast forwards to being in college, and I was taking a couple computer science classes at the time. And I had this friend, and essentially the class, we were able to pick any idea that we wanted to build an app for, and basically get credit for building that app. And I pitched him on this idea because I think over the years I had started to notice more and more that a lot of groups will meet weekly, and there's not a lot of good tools in place to make that type of accountability and connection easy between meetings the other 6 days of the week. And so
Right.
I then, kind of ruminating on these thoughts for a little while, like, with my groups, it felt like someone would always come back to group the next time and be like, Tuesday I was really struggling, and I ended up slipping up, and we were like, well, why didn't you reach out? We got this group chat thing that we put together, and the answer was always like, well, I don't know. Like, it's hard to
Yeah.
reach out, I guess, when we're
Yeah.
not together. And that was kind of the trend, was just like, well, it's hard to reach out. And that makes sense. Like, it is hard. Even when you have a group already, it's still easy to revert back to patterns of isolation. And I'm doing this kind of solo, single player, the other 6 days of the week. Um, repeatedly we would try different systems. And I think, um, always the one that was kind of fascinated with, like, how could we adapt our approach between meetings to better serve each other so that we don't come back and find out that no one's been doing the goals that we had committed to, or people didn't reach out when they were having a rough day, whether they relapsed or not. um, but realized that, like, GroupMe and WhatsApp just weren't kind of like getting the job done. It would kind of fizzle out. It was a little hard to make up our own structure with this. And so when I get to this computer science class with my buddy, I said, hey, what if there were an app that helped people who were struggling to overcome addiction? What if it made it easier to, stay accountable and connected 7 days a week with their group? And the focus would be on people who already had a group. This would kind of be a complementary tool for people to use outside of group meetings. So we weren't trying to develop, our own program or curriculum or
Right.
anything.
Right.
Just creating a little bit more accessible interactions that makes the accountability barrier even lower, and that connection barrier lower. And so that's kind of where it started. And it was a school project at the time, but then as we started working on it over the next year, and we piloted this out with some of the therapists I had worked with and their groups that they were running, we were kind of surprised when a lot of people were like, holy cow, I wish I had this like 3 years ago when I was first starting out. Like, this is an awesome, thing to add to my toolkit. And we started hearing a lot of feedback around, well, what if it did this? Or, if it did this maybe slightly differently, I think it could be even better. And eventually, as we were all graduating college, at this point, we added a few other friends to our team, and we were all kind of working on this full time through college. It evolved out of this one class to, like, this is the biggest thing that we were all focused on in terms of, um, we were kind of getting some credit for it, so we didn't have that many classes, which
Yeah.
made it
Yeah.
work out well. But we were coming to graduation, and we had over 1,000 people now using the product regularly, with a lot of them saying, like, this has been game changer, and still a lot of things that we had gotten feedback on of how it could be better. And we just decided, like, we want to really go for this and take a big swing at making a technology tool that helps people do recovery 10 times smarter than ever possible before, and not trying to be the only silver bullet in their toolkit, but trying to be something that just greatly enhances their efforts. And so that was kind of the decision we made. This was a couple years ago now that we decided to go full time on it, and we're now serving, a lot of different addiction type use cases. And the vision is still, let's try to work very closely with the people on our platform to see how we can build a tool that's in your pocket that helps you do things smarter, so that you don't